Wat doen ouders met kinderen die ze soms wel achter het behang zouden willen plakken? In Engeland bestaat er een therapie voor, zoals u kunt zien in de film Groeistuipen.
We geven miljoenen uit aan het opsluiten van hardnekkige wetsovertreders die als kind gedragsproblemen hebben gehad. Als zij en hun ouders vroeg genoeg hulp hadden gekregen, had de spiraal van problemen doorbroken kunnen worden, wat op latere leeftijd onnoemelijk veel leed en kosten had bespaard. Kinderen die zich niet kunnen beheersen zijn een nachtmerrie voor ouders en leraren. Op school zijn ze vaak niet te handhaven. De uitsluiting begint al als ze 5 zijn en soms nog jonger. Het etiket lastpost kan hun jeugd en hun hele verdere leven verpesten. We kennen allemaal wel lastige kinderen als Dean. Hij is pas 4, maar wat is zijn toekomst op school en daarna? We kunnen ons wel hoofdschuddend omdraaien en hun ouders de schuld geven, maar het is niet zomaar een probleem van anderen.
I honestly believed when my oldest was a baby that she wouldn't do anything naughty or difficult. She was going to stay placid and had very unrealistic expectations. So when she lay on her back in the middle of mother care, screaming and shouting, I want to be good, I want to be good, and yet failing miserably. And I realised I was one of those mums that I thought, it'll never happen to me. You want to believe it's out there, you don't want to believe it's here. And the reality is, it can be anywhere.
Thuis staat Rachel voor de dagelijkse beproeving om haar kinderen aangekleed te krijgen voordat ze de deur uit kunnen. Haar 2 zoons, Dwayne van 6 en Dean van 4, zijn veel lastiger dan haar dochter Becky van 1.
Stop wiping your nose out. Go get some tissue.
No!
Now you can imagine what this is like in the mornings, trying to get them all ready so I can be out the house. Hey, hey, hey! Oh my God, here they go. Dwayne! Dwayne! They think they're getting away with it, but they won't.
Koppige kinderen als Dean en Dwayne fokken elkaar snel op en kunnen zelfs een geduldige moeder als Rachel tot drastische maatregelen brengen die de toestand alleen maar verergeren.
Trying to drive the car. Now sit up. It's both of you. And you both got it. Shut up or you'll get another one.
Veel kinderen zijn onrustig, hyperactief, agressief of hebben andere leer- of gedragsmoeilijkheden die tot problemen op school kunnen leiden. Hulp is vaak ver te zoeken. Maar in het Engelse Swindon is in Marlborough House een cursus van 10 weken opgezet. Daar krijgen ouders en kinderen 1 dag per week een gestructureerd programma aangeboden. Ieder kind heeft andere problemen. Zo heeft Joseph moeite met groepen. Zijn moeder is bang dat hij grote schoolklassen niet aan zal kunnen.
I was very tired, and when you're very tired it's difficult to be positive, and things escalate, and so I just needed to talk to somebody who wasn't a relative, wasn't somebody in the village, or and then it sort of snowballed and we thought, what have we got ourselves into?
De cursus is gebaseerd op positieve principes. De kinderen leren wat ze wel moeten doen in plaats van wat ze niet mogen. Goed gedrag wordt beloond met complimenten en muntjes. Slecht gedrag wordt genegeerd of door lichamelijke hints gecorrigeerd.
Coming here is going to be about you thinking to yourself, how did I respond in a certain situation? And what message am I giving my child? So it'll be as much about analysing your behaviour as your child's behaviour. Most of all, we want to shift the label naughty that it's got itself firmly attached to your children. We don't want them to go through their life with that label naughty. We don't want you to go through your life with the label a bad mother. It's not a pleasant situation for either of you. And babies don't exactly come with instructions, do they? I mean, most things do. You get a washing machine, it's got a booklet, hasn't it? It says, you know, well, this is what you do and this is what you do, something goes wrong, but babies don't. Oh, wasn't that a big loud thank you?
De lange dag is strak ingedeeld om zelfvertrouwen te kweken en vaardigheden te ontwikkelen die op school nodig zijn. Fysieke coördinatie, concentratie, opdrachten uitvoeren en samenwerken met andere kinderen.
Adam's thinking just where to put his pot. Look, you can stand up and choose your pot now. Oh, did you pick that one? Oh, Jill's picked it up.
Thank you.
Stick your label on.
Thank you.
You also remember to say thank you too. Well done, Sam.
Kinderen worden aangemoedigd om keuzes te maken, zoals tussen jam en marmiet.
Everybody needs to be watching.
Well done, David.
Because it's very important that we think about what we do with jam and marmalade.
Everybody needs to look at Karen.
Tegen de middag zitten 10 kinderen die te lastig zijn bevonden voor een speelzaal of schoolklas rustig met hun handen op schoot. Soms voor het eerst in hun leven. En ze zijn hier pas 2 uur.
The most important thing that we do is praise the children. We praise the children constantly whenever they do anything good. Each time they've done anything we've asked them to do, we've given them a token.
Well done, Robert. I can give you a token
With
saying
your hands in
please
your
and thank you. Well
Mama,
done.
Would you like juice or water? Liam
Well done, Joseph. You're thinking. Good boy.
Second, Liam. So that you've
I
chosen
got my hand in my lap.
underneath there.
Thank you.
I'm going to give me a token.
Thank you.
Say thank you now.
It's a shame. We need to wait for Joseph to be ready to say thank you. I'm just going to get some more juice. I'll be back in a second.
If a child does something that we want them to do, we lavish praise and attention on that child, which is where the tokens are coming in. So what a child learns is if they're behaving appropriately, they will get lots of adult attention. On the other hand, if a child isn't behaving appropriately, we'll try and handle the situation with as minimum fuss as possible.
Can I just clear up on our plan? Yes, you go on restraining kids. I mean, we don't seem to have any violent.
No.
If you do have one that's scattered, do you take them out the group or?
Basically, we will contain them within the group. We use a time-out share where we will take a child. If a child lashes out at another child, we will take them to time-out and we will help them sit on time-out.
Remember, when you sit at the table, you sit with your hands in your lap and you keep your feet still.
I can't have it.
We will hold a child where they're supposed to be. So if a child needs to be playing on the mat, we will sit with them, keeping them on the mat. The way that we use physical prompts, the way that we restrain the children is to be as gentle as possible with them.
Well done, Joseph. You're sitting still and quiet now. You can go back to the table.
So we're only holding them with the force that it needs to contain them. If a child's really struggling, obviously we need to grip on tight to them. But the minute they begin to relax, the minute we begin to relax, and very quickly they realise that that's where they're going to be staying, so they might as well play with the toys rather than sit there fussing about
You've never
it.
take a child out of a...
No.
Listen to me. Quite a lot, Robert. Let's take some off. Well done.
We fall into a trap as parents. Children's naughty behaviour is very easy to notice. We can't help but notice it. What tends to happen is we give children attention when they're being naughty. We don't mean to do that, but it's very difficult to do other than that. So quite often when children are being good, we'll rush away and be busy, and yet when they're being naughty, we'll reappear. Now for a child, any attention is better than no attention at all. So in some ways they actually learn to be naughty in order to get our attention. And there's not one single parent out there who is thinking, I think I'll teach my child to be naughty today. And yet lots of us are actually falling into that trap without realising it.
Aan het eind van de dag bekijken de ouders achter een doorkijkspiegel hun kinderen. Sommigen geloven bijna niet dat hun probleemkind zich zo netjes gedraagt.
They're preparing to count the tokens now. Now obviously the whole routine is very new to the children and it's been a long, hard day. So actually sitting still and watching tokens being counted is going to be quite difficult. The staff are working quite hard to physically prompt the children to face in this direction. It's always children that are sitting still and quietly that are chosen. Those children that aren't managing easily to sit still are being helped at the moment, obviously. She's actually missed Charlotte out because Charlotte isn't able to sit still at the moment. You will see the changes each week. They will get more used to it.
Let's give David a big clap. Well done, David.
Sometimes children find it very difficult to accept praise. It's not always easy for a child to accept praise, particularly if they're stuck with the label of the naughty one or the difficult one. If they've overheard that being said about them, sometimes they don't really believe that you mean it when you praise them. So you might have quite a lot to overcome.
Well done. Should we tell you about all the good things you've been doing?
I left my biscuits on the crib.
He's been a bit fussy. He's fussing a little bit, so he's had a good day.
I'll be helping you in a minute, and I'm just waiting for Joseph to say thank you.
Thank you.
That's it. Well done, Joseph. There we go. Take it and really pleased that Joseph was thinking there for me. Right, take that.
De groepsregels blijven tot het laatste moment van kracht. Voordat hij weggaat, moet Joseph zijn jas dicht doen.
When we've got a child that's making a fuss, rather than focus on the fuss, we'll talk about the things that they are doing well. So Pauline will be saying things to him like, gosh, well done, the coat's nearly done up. She won't be talking to him about the fuss, she'll be talking to him about the things that he is managing. And she'll be talking to him about the fact that you're waiting and that it's nearly time to go home. So she'll be reassuring him.
Oh dear, your coat's coming down.
It's ever so easy to get focusing on the behaviour. And it'll be very easy to start saying, oh gosh, for goodness sake, why won't you stop fussing? Let's get your coat up and actually focus on the fuss.
Oh, well done. Hello. Nice to see you. Would you say bye-bye? Bye-bye. Through the door, Shaw. Will you come and help me? Show me the way to go, Joe. Come and show me. This way. Yeah, I'll have to park the car in a different place today.
I think what distressed me is that you can't pinpoint why Jai is like he is. If there was some great upset, some great upheaval, some of the people have got great traumas going on in their lives, and you can see why their children are upset. Joe hasn't got any of those excuses.
Can you see under there to put your lunchbox away?
And Joe was irritable from the start, poor lamb. But he was born with a tumour in his mouth, so he had a very difficult start. So he had surgery when he was 5 weeks old, and it was benign tumour, thank goodness. But then he had further surgery at a year. So if you're looking for something to blame, well, I really think that Joe probably would have been a bit of a difficult character anyway. Bless him.
Elke week kijkt een van de ouders van achter de doorkijkspiegel toe om zich een objectiever oordeel te kunnen vormen. Joe's vader, een manager met een drukke baan, krijgt te horen wat het centrum met zijn zoontje wil bereiken.
Because an instruction has been given, and the way it was given takes away any option to not do it, the children will be helped. And obviously I don't think Joseph particularly wants to do movement today, so he'll be helped to do that. Are you happy with that? If ever you see something that you're not happy about, please say. We can either explain why we're doing it or change, because obviously the bottom line is Joseph is your child and you remain in control. And this is all about group work. Some children find it quite hard to actually work in a group closely with others, so it's a really good thing skill to learn. And I think Joseph, in his dislike of joining groups, would be quite valuable.
The first session I was saying, Joe doesn't need to be here. He hasn't, hearing the other mums saying some of the problems that they'd had, and I think, Joe hasn't done any of those things. He hasn't got any problems. When I saw him in the group, I was very distressed because he finds it very difficult, and I've not seen him like that before. He obviously does find it very difficult in groups, and he finds it hard to join in. That was a surprise. Opened a whole can of worms, really. So I'd rather we found out before school.
So what's happening is nobody is actually taking any notice of Joseph not taking part. And yet he's looking for somebody to tell him that you have to take part. He's desperately seeking some eye contact, isn't he? So there is a difference in what we're seeing now, which is almost like a want to but I can't, than at the beginning, which is like I don't want to, so I'm not. How do you feel about this?
It's sad, isn't it? But yeah, I'm sure it'd be beneficial. I can see the tactics you're using. Seems very sensible.
Adam was concerned that putting Joe in that situation, which he's not in usually, playgroups more relaxed. He's only 4.5. Had we precipitated the behaviour to some extent, just try and avoid the situation. They deliberately build into the day at the group so that the children learn strategies to cope with it. But he's always been very frightened of parties, new things. He literally sort of goes like he's in shock. His face goes green and he trembles, and so I've avoided taking him to parties. We go for the first 5 minutes and then come home. And I guess we've got to start putting him in situations now he can't keep avoiding them.
Joseph, who's going to be your partner?
He's got to get used to these things. Not that he's got to grow up suddenly, and he's entitled to not like going to parties. He wouldn't be the only person in the world that didn't like it, but he's got to be able to cope with it.
Excuse me, Adam, Joseph would really like you to be his partner. Would you like to be Joseph's partner?
Yeah.
There. Sit down then. Back to back. Well done.
Right.
Yeah.
That's it. We made it at last.
But that's okay, isn't it? What hopefully Joseph will learn eventually. Children don't learn at the outset. You have to do things time and time and time again for the message to get home. It's much better to join in and to have some fun. And it is fun. This is very non-threatening.
We shall have but a penny a day because he can't go any faster.
In de week tussen de sessies in probeert Rachel het geleerde in de praktijk te brengen. Ze mag niet toegeven. Ze heeft gevraagd of Dean zijn kom in de gootsteen wil zetten.
The simplest little thing, no. Well, I'm not doing it. Come on, just put it in the sink, then that'll be okay. Normally, for quite life, I would put it in there myself. I do ask him to do it. But by now I would have put it in there just to shut him up. So do you want me to just show you? No, it won't hurt you to do it.
You're naughty.
You're naughty. Right. Come on then, if you can't do it, I'll do it for you. Right, done. Oh, no, you don't pull it out. No, keep carrying that rag round with me. You leave it in there. That's all right. It's got to be washed anyway. Well done, Sam. 2 more moments.
Naast typische kleuterschoolactiviteiten zoals voorlezen, muziek maken en tekenen, gaat het bij de cursus ook over gewone zaken die bepalend kunnen zijn voor de relaties tussen een kind en zijn ouders of leraren.
That's fine, Charlotte. Charlotte's going to go play out and do the clarinet later, Heather, because she can't do it until Joseph's finished.
And this is what would happen in school, you see. He'd be given instruction and he'd be left.
Right.
So Sam's going to test that now to see what's going to happen. She may not look as though she's watching him and seeing what's going on, but she's aware.
Yeah. I'm aware of that bowl.
And you're aware of that bowl of water you're raising for it to go, aren't you? Yes. It wouldn't be the first. It wouldn't be the first time it's actually happened. What would happen, though, is Joseph would have to clear it up.
Right.
What's was not being drawn into his negotiating with him. That,
right.
Come on, Joseph, this is what you should be doing. No, I'm not. Yes, yes, you are. Which I think happens at home sometimes, doesn't
Definitely,
it?
yeah. Far too much negotiation, I'm sure.
When Joseph's finished his washing up, he will be able to go out and play.
But if you look at the difficulties that are arising with these children here now, you try and imagine what they would be like in a class of 32 when there's only one teacher and perhaps one assistant. At the moment you've got 4 staff in there and 2 mums, so that's actually quite a high ratio. And where the schools are under pressure now to reach their targets, they haven't got time to chase these children around the classroom. So a lot of the children are being withdrawn from the classroom situation. What we're trying to do is to help Joseph to think this through, that, what is it I should be doing? Once you get into the negotiations, you get lost from that.
And she's not giving eye contact.
And she's not giving me eye contact, which is really important. There was a kick of Sam there, did you see that? You actually kicked Sam?
Right.
Yes. And this is something that Joseph does find very difficult. He's got a long list of tactics that he draws on to get out of doing things. Like now, he's blowing his nose and he's rubbing it all over Sam, and it's something that we don't like. Like the crying, like the temper tantrums. I want to go to the toilet. I'm going to wet myself. I'm going to be sick. All those sort of things that he comes out with. But he's not going to get out of it by doing that.
Well done. I'm going to give you another token. You're working really hard there.
I've seen some of these tactics at home by Joe as well.
Have you? Yeah. And ignoring the slamming down, which again at home you probably would get drawn into.
Yeah, you tend to pick up on things, yeah.
Put it on the side. Well done, Joseph. I'm going to give you another token. Just 2 more cups. You can see there, look.
What do you think you would have done at home if he was having to do something that he didn't want to and he wanted to go out? What would you do?
We'd do it with him, I expect. So I wouldn't just let him do it entirely by himself. And then he'd end up going off into something else and we'd end up finishing it.
Right.
That's what actually happened.
So what are the messages that you're actually giving Joseph? That if he kicks up long enough that you'll do it for him, or?
I guess so, yeah.
If you look at the other children though, they're actually taking their clues from the adults then, because the adults are not making a fuss about Joseph, and that's something for you to remember at home with your other one. If you're not making a fuss, then the younger one will actually take their clues from you. What we want to try and do is to teach them to actually keep focused on what they're doing. And if you consider all the children here have got very short attention spans, they're actually doing very, very well.
Yeah, they are.
What do you feel like doing at the moment? Do you want to get in there and stop it, or what?
Yes, really, yeah.
Did you hear that?
Put that in the sink, please. And put that in. We just need to wipe up the mess now, so we need to get them off. Charlotte, I'm just going to get the mess.
Gain consequence of actions. Spilt the water, mop it up.
Wipe the mess, the paint's on the floor, Joseph. We need to sort it out. This is not.
There's quite a bit of water there, isn't there?
How I could have handled it was, oh, will you stop fussing? Oh, for goodness sake, please do this. But the fact he was getting lots and lots of praise when he did manage to do a cup, even when it was slammed down on the table.
Yeah, it's just obviously distressing watching him
Yeah.
because he was having a cry there.
Yeah, but I really wanted him to have a go at finishing that off by himself. And I think that if that ever got repeated, he would start doing it on his own a lot quicker.
He's gone from getting lots and lots of physical prompts, verbal prompts, to those being decreased, managing to do it all by himself. But he's not a confident little boy, and that actually stops him from doing a lot of his tasks. Being bright doesn't necessarily mean to say that you're going to be confident. Anxiety can get in the way, your own expectations can get in the way. The fear of not being able to complete a task or knowing exactly what's expected of you. And he's actually doing really well there now. And Karen, in fact, has backed off slightly. You know, he had lots of praise to start with. He's not even looking for it now. And despite it being a really boring job, he's actually doing it well.
Als ze opdrachten geven, kijken de medewerkers de kinderen expres niet aan om duidelijk te maken dat discussie niet mogelijk is. Maar verder wordt oogcontact wel gezien als een positieve manier om de aandacht vast te houden.
It really is essential that you make a real effort to engage with your child. So it's actually about maybe crouching down to their level, because sometimes when we're talking from up there, we're not meeting their eyes. Once we've crouched down, it's much easier to make some eye contact with them, to look at them and say, gosh, you've worked really hard at that. So you're moving close and you're making the eye contact immediately.
Excuse me, Karen, I'm always really pleased with children when they work really hard at jobs they don't want to do. Right. And it took a very long time, Joseph, but you didn't give up, you managed it. Well done.
Yes, listening,
Joseph.
Let's see what Mum and Dad have said.
He's acting like he's shattered, isn't he? Probably is. He does look pleased though, doesn't he, I think?
Right, you're ready then? Oh no!
Na elke sessie is het weer afwachten. Een probleemkind als Dean heeft zich meer dan 5 vermoeiende uren lang goed gedragen. Maar houdt hij dat buiten de cursus ook vol? Met Rachel, zijn vriendjes op straat of zijn broer Dwayne, die een ondermijnende invloed op hem kunnen hebben.
I said you could go out after you've had your tea. You got a bath.
Oh, good, that we are going out, help. You do.
Wait, just don't keep on.
No,
Right?
you're
No, you're not. Can you see what I was trying to say? What?
I'm not going to lie.
See what I was trying to say? Like when you just copy in Dwayne. If Dwayne was to make no fuss and just stay in and have a bath, Dean would do the same. Yeah. You playing the garden on your job?
No way, I am.
I'll just do what I do normally if you wouldn't hear, because he's doing me freaking head in. Let's go upstairs.
I guess what you can do is make it clear in the beginning what you're going to give them tokens for, and that's perfectly okay to do that, to actually say, Mummy's going to start, or Daddy's going to start using tokens at home. We're going to be using tokens for, and one of the things you can say is not making a fuss. So in that situation, if you saw a kick under the table before the other one had a chance to kick back, you could say, well done, Dean, you didn't make a fuss.
I'll tell you what, Dean.
What?
I'm going to put a token in your pot, right? Do you know why? Do you know why? Because you're ignoring Dwayne and not taking any notice of the fuss he's making. Is that alright?
Yes.
I was thinking, Rachel, I felt you were more positive a few weeks ago.
I think it's because I had a bad morning this morning.
Yeah, you're looking much more stressed, and you're not your normal happy self here, are you?
No. I sometimes I think, is it Dean I'm stressed with, or is it Dwayne? I'm back to that situation again, and I can't sit here and be quite as jolly as all. I could cry right now.
You do. You're actually looking very upset. Do you want a bit of time out of the group?
It's Dwayne and he's doing my God standing around me. It's driving me mad.
Slowly, very slowly, bring the rhythm around. Slowly, slowly, very slowly.
don't go in there. No, I've asked you to do it. You took it off. You look cool with them glasses on, don't you? Can you see where you're going? Oh.
Shake it on there a bit.
That's lovely, Julie. You can cut that in half now.
Na het middageten wordt er gerust. De kinderen zitten dan alleen op hun matjes. Het is goed te zien hoe ze zijn vooruitgegaan dankzij de gestructureerde aanpak van het centrum. Na 7 weken gedraagt Joseph zich al heel ontspannen. Hij gaat nu makkelijker om met andere kinderen zoals David. Beide jongens kunnen nu ergens op worden aangesproken zonder dat het op een drama uitdraait. Ze leren hoe ze stil moeten zitten en op hun beurt moeten wachten, wat van groot belang is voor hun functioneren op school. Voor hyperactieve of gedragsgestoorde kinderen is dat een hele prestatie. Zo hoeven ze niet naar een bijzondere school en hoeven ze geen medicijnen te hebben om rustig te blijven. Dat laatste is trouwens in het centrum de afgelopen 20 jaar zelden nodig geweest.
I'm really pleased that you sat and waited. Well done. Because I was quite a long time on that telephone, wasn't I? It's the wrong way up, that's right. Well done.
That way.
Yep. I bet you're really pleased with yourself for sitting and waiting. It's time now for you to go and play with the Duplo. Well done, Dean.
It's like ice skating.
Like ice skating, isn't it?
I don't need to open that thing.
Right, Daisy. You ready? Walk down.
You're not going.
Right off with the towel. Off you go.
No, why the same as me?
Oops, you need to stand on your feet. I'm going to let go, Josie. Well done. He is calmer. He is calmer. I don't worry about taking him into public now, really. Sometimes if I knew it was going to be a difficult situation, I would have avoided it. Off we go. Right, you ready for me to let go?
Yes.
Right, you need to stay at this end now.
Oh, that was gone down. It was funny when you slipped over, wasn't it?
Very brave when he slipped over.
Good word, Joseph. Good boy.
Well done, Josie. Well done, Josie. Well done, Dean. Well done, Josie. Well done, Dean.
The group has done him some good, yeah, it definitely has. Before, he wouldn't let his dad do nothing. He wouldn't allow to dress him, even bath him, take him to bed or nothing. He wouldn't let him do. But he's changed in that way, hasn't he?
He comes to me a hell of a lot more now. Never used to be like that, had he?
No. But he, how he's behaving in there, that's, I could manage that. It's when the food goes flying and the knives and the language comes out that I don't like. But he has done him some good. He's not perfect, mind you, but then what kid is?
Dean Davis. Good boy. Peter Crossman.
De positieve benadering moet wel worden volgehouden door diens familie en door zijn leraren. Met zulke grote klassen is dat niet altijd even makkelijk. Cathy van het centrum komt kijken hoe het met Dean gaat.
I had some of my staff say, Helen, really, he's so disruptive and, oh God, it's Dean's time to come in today. Oh dear, let's all, get ourselves together ready for this. And we have continual meetings throughout the term, and Dean was on the agenda for at least 2 terms. He really did cause disturbances within the group, and you have to be careful because it does rub off. But we've got over that, and of course, obviously, with the help he's been getting outside play school, Dean has come on a treat. He's become very, very sensible of the fact that if you help, it's good fun. And of course, he starts in nursery school in September, and he's ready. I mean, he will be ready then. And we'll be sad to see him go, which I have to be honest to say that about 9 months ago, I would never have thought I would be saying that now.
Joseph is zich ook beter gaan gedragen. En net als bij de anderen uit de groep is de sfeer thuis ook verbeterd.
Hold him to the road.
I'm trying harder to have more fun with him. I've been aware for a while, because I didn't give up work till he was 3, that I've only got this 2 years before he started school. And when it didn't work out and it wasn't fun all the way, and I didn't keep the house beautifully tidy, and I wasn't making jam and all the things I thought I was going to do when I was at home, that was a great disappointment. And I went through a bit of a bad patch myself, thinking, hang on, I'm not this super housewife that I thought it was going to be so easy. And now I'm really realising that hang the house. I've only got 5 months left with Joe before he goes to school, and make the most of it. I think we laugh more than we did.
One more wheel, one more wheel, one more wheels, one wheel all day long. No, that's the rest of the band. Rest of the band.
That's really good. Well done, Ian. Well done, Joe. Well done, Andrew. Hey, wonderful.
Maar Joseph kan niet zomaar terug naar school. Doordat hij naar het centrum is geweest, is de school juist voorzichtiger geworden. Hij mag pas hele dagen naar school als hij heeft laten zien dat hij het aan kan.
I don't know, you get very defensive and just saying, it isn't my fault. But you're bound to think really it is.
In de loop van de 10 sessies trekken de medewerkers zich steeds verder terug. Op de laatste dag gaan ze zo nu en dan zelfs het lokaal uit.
This group has been one of the easier groups that we've had for a long, long time. We've had less acting out from some of these children. We've not had the severe temper tantrums that we had in the past that have lasted for an hour, 2 hours. Some of these children have responded just so quickly to the positive reinforcement. It can take 6 to 9 weeks before we actually feel that we're actually getting anywhere.
Op de laatste ouderbijeenkomst wordt de invloed van de gedragsverandering van de kinderen besproken.
To have them 1 day a week, it's you that's made the changes. It's the effort that you put in at home. Because they wouldn't have changed. Just as well with the 1 day a week, it would not have brought about the changes that you've listed up there. And that's your doing, not ours.
And you said, what do you hope for out of this 10 weeks? And I thought it was sort of asking for the moon, some of the things that we were listing. But actually some of the changes have happened. I'm sold on it.
Row, row the boat gently down the stream. Merrily, 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 life is but a dream.
Elk is autistisch. Hij leeft in een vreemde wereld omdat hij zich niet kan inleven in andere mensen. Hij heeft geen idee wat andere mensen voelen of denken. Wanneer wij iemand zien, kunnen we van het gezicht de gemoedstoestand aflezen. Autisten kunnen dat niet. Die zien alleen een hoofd zonder emotionele betekenis. We zijn ons er niet van bewust, maar we lezen constant de gedachten van mensen. Niet letterlijk, maar op basis van ervaring kunnen we ons voorstellen wat zich in het hoofd van iemand afspeelt. En dat bepaalt voor een belangrijk deel ons sociaal gedrag. Het lezen van andermans gedachten is voor autisten een onmogelijkheid. Nieuw onderzoek leert ons dat het precies deze eigenschap is die de oorzaak is van veel misverstanden in de relatie tussen mannen en vrouwen.
He's doing a real nice job unloading, just letting them take their time, walk off quietly.
Oost-Colorado, de Verenigde Staten. Temple Gradin is Amerika's bekendste autist. Toch is zij professor in de dierkunde aan de universiteit. Zij ontwikkelt systemen om vee te huisvesten. Naar schatting 50% van dit soort systemen in de VS komt uit haar brein.
If I just sit really quietly and I don't stare at them, see if I stare at them, they won't come up to me. You know, I've got to make myself little. If I stand up, I'm more scary. Now if I lay down, I could probably get them all licking me. Maybe I'll do that. There, guys. I just let him come up to me and I don't look him in the eye because he doesn't like that. Well, they're an animal where fear is their main emotion, and fear is also my main emotion.
Temple vond het altijd makkelijker om dieren dan om mensen te begrijpen. Ze kan zich niet inleven, maar ze kan wel heel goed observeren. Jaren geleden zag ze al hoe angstige dieren rustig werden als ze tussen twee stangen werden gezet. Ze bedacht dat het misschien ook wel iets was om haar eigen angsten te temperen.
I'll demonstrate how the squeeze machine works. Get in here on my hands and knees. Head through here. This. Control it by operating this lever. When I was a little kid, I would get in under the sofa cushions so that, because I found that calmed me down. Built my first prototype of it back in high school, and I was so anxious all the time I just couldn't stand it. It was like, I felt like I was in a room with a lion chasing me around, and my nervous system was just in full activation, you know, fight or flight. I was desperate for relief, and I found that if I used the squeezing machine, that helped to calm down my nerves. It makes me have calm and gentle thoughts. Sort of like it gets the right neurotransmitters going to have calm and nice feelings, you know, rather than not so nice feelings.
Temple is 50 jaar en heeft nauwelijks vrienden. Net als de koeien in haar stallen vecht ze constant tegen de angst voor de vreemde wereld om haar heen. Menselijke begeertes, intenties en emoties zijn een mysterie voor haar. Ze noemt ons emotierobots en ze voelt zich soms als Mr. Spock tussen de menselijke bemanningsleden van Starship Enterprise.
When I was in high school, I just couldn't figure out, you know, what the other girls were getting so excited about, all the datings with boys and things like that, swooning over the Beatles. And I used to call their behavior interesting sociological phenomena, or ISPs. And, you know, I just felt like I was an anthropologist on another planet trying to figure out what they were doing. I couldn't figure out why I didn't get along with them. I mean, I didn't realize the different ways that people think, and that their thoughts are linked with their emotions. I didn't know that.
Mensen zijn voor Temple een gesloten boek. Ze beschrijft haar eigen geest het liefst als een soort mentaal databestand, waar harde gegevens in worden opgeslagen, maar waarin emotionele verbindingen ontbreken. Wat Temple niet kan, leren normale baby's al vanaf hun eerste jaar. Het intuïtief oppakken van de mentale toestand van de ander.
Hello, Daniel. Hello. Hello.
From very early on in infancy, babies are looking not just at the mother, but at the mother's face. And not just at the face, but at the eyes. They seem to spend longer looking at the eye region of the face than at any other part of the body. In turn, mothers are spending a long time looking at the eyes of the baby, providing long opportunities for the baby to examine the face of another person and really start learning about faces and what's behind them. Infants not only follow where somebody else is looking, what we might call gaze monitoring, but they also try and direct where other people are looking by using the pointing gesture. They'll point at something, look back at the adult's face, and keep pointing until the adult has looked at what the infant is interested in.
Simon Baron Cohen en zijn collega's testen al jarenlang peuters om te zien hoe ze met nieuwe en dus onbekende situaties omgaan.
When a toddler enters a new situation, there might be a novel object or a new person. They don't know whether it's a safe object or whether it's a dangerous object. The first thing they often do is that they look up at the face of the caregiver to get reassurance or to get a sign of warning whether to approach or to avoid that object. What we find is that children who simply look at the toy, but don't look up at the adult's face, who don't show social referencing, are at much greater risk for developing autism.
Tussen de 18 maanden en 6 jaar maken normale kinderen een ontwikkeling door die hen leert de gedachten van anderen te doorgronden. Door te kijken naar de gezichten en de reacties van de mensen om hen heen, leren normale kinderen in te zien dat de wensen en begeerten van persoon tot persoon kunnen verschillen. Tegen de tijd dat kinderen 6 jaar zijn, zijn ze jonge psychologen geworden. Mentaal gezien staan autisten hier mijlenver vanaf. Ze hebben geen inzicht in de gedachten van de ander. En dat verklaart ook hun gebrek aan sociaal gedrag. Daarbij komt dat ze vaak ook nog een laag IQ hebben en moeite met hun taalontwikkeling. Ze zijn gevangen in hun eigen eenzame denkwereld. Alec, Robert en Josh zijn de betere leerlingen op deze speciale school voor autisten. Ze zijn tussen de 9 en de 11 jaar. Zonder speciale lessen zouden ze niet in staat zijn om een glimlach te herkennen. Of op basis van een gezichtsuitdrukking te zien of iemand vrolijk of verdrietig is.
Who'd like to go next? Is she happy or is she not happy, Josh?
I think she's looking a bit dull and tired.
A bit tired? Do you think she's happy?
Well, I suggest that. Well, I think she's looking a bit unhappy because she's hurt herself from her bike.
I see, so she's not happy. Josh, can you go and put that picture on the board?
Een bekende inlevingstest voor autisten is de zogenaamde Sally Ann-test. Normale kinderen hebben als ze 4 jaar zijn geen problemen meer met deze test.
Who'd like to go next? Right, okay, this is Sally and this is Anne. Which one's Sally? This one. Well done, right. And Sally has got a basket. And Anne has got a box, nothing in it. And Sally has got a marble. And Sally puts her marble into her basket to keep it safe while she goes outside to play. But while Sally's outside, naughty Anne moves the marble from Sally's basket into her box. Naughty Anne. So where's the marble now?
Box.
Good. Where did Sally put the marble in the beginning?
Basket.
In the basket. Well done. So when Sally comes back from playtime, where will she look for her marble?
In the box.
In the box.
Natuurlijk had Robert in het mandje moeten zeggen. Maar hij ziet alleen zijn eigen gedachten. Wat is er mis met Roberts brein dat hij zich niet kan inleven in de gedachtenwereld van de ander? Diep in het brein, verscholen in de temporaalkwabben, ligt een orgaan dat direct betrokken is bij de verwerking van emoties. De amygdala. Dankzij nieuwe medische scanners kunnen we de amygdala in actie bekijken. Een proefpersoon krijgt snel allerlei gezichtsuitdrukkingen te zien. De scanner maakt ondertussen foto's van het brein. De onderzoekers Nancy Edkoff en Hans Bruiter kwamen er zo achter dat de amygdala inderdaad sterk reageert op emotionele gezichtsuitdrukkingen.
The amygdala, right here. It's beautiful. That was our quest.
I would expect that the amygdala is involved in a whole range of expressions, particularly since it's so involved in threat. We would assume that anger, an expression of anger, we might also expect it to be involved in situations of loss, of sadness, of having to learn from that sort of experience as well. My guess is that it will be involved in quite a range of emotion.
We wanted to put together a set of pictures of facial expressions that would really assess the whole range of human emotion, not just the basic emotions like happy, sad, angry and afraid, but the more complex or cognitive emotions. Sometimes when an emotional expression changes, it's very dramatic. Something fearful happens and the whole face becomes fearful. Something surprising happens and the whole face changes. But often changes in emotion are much more subtle, and you may not see a big change in the mouth, but you may see a very subtle change in what goes on around the eyes. And we appear as mind readers to be very skilled at picking up even these minute changes in information around the eyes to work out that the person may be slightly anxious, may be slightly sad, or maybe simply being reflective.
Simon Baron Cohen vertoonde oogfoto's aan proefpersonen. Terwijl hun brein werd gescand, moesten ze aangeven welke gemoedstoestand bij de oogfoto's hoort. De hypothese was dat normale proefpersonen sterk van de amygdala gebruik zouden maken, en autisten niet.
What we found is that in the normal case, as predicted, the amygdala is very active in this task. In contrast, and quite impressively, the people with autism were using different brain areas, but not the amygdala, in processing this information.
De amygdala blijkt dus heel goed emoties te kunnen lezen aan de hand van de oogstand. En daarvoor hoef je een gezicht niet eens te herkennen.
Some years ago when I was attending a conference in Boston, and at some point during the conference I had to leave the auditorium where the conference was being held to use the lavatory. On my way back from the lavatory, I came around a corner and saw someone whom I thought was a former supervisor of mine and greeted him. But there was no response. I looked again and found that I was looking at a mirrored wall and therefore at myself, the stranger in the mirror.
LH kreeg ooit een schedelfractuur bij een auto-ongeluk. Hij liep een onherstelbare beschadiging op aan een van zijn temporaalkwabben. En wel precies dat deel dat gezichten herkent.
When I first met LH, one interesting question to me was how he recognized his wife. He had met his wife and married after the accident, and I wondered when they went out, did he at least know her, or how would he identify her? And he told me that she needed to wear a ribbon in her hair, and that he would recognize the ribbon, but not his wife. One time I was driving him home after testing, and I pulled up to his house, and in the driveway were two children, and I said, "Are those your children?" He said, "Must be, they're in my driveway." He can't recognize family members, he can't recognize a picture of himself. He's never recognized me, and I've been testing him now for over 8 years. Lincoln, I'm going to show you pictures of faces.
Edkoff denkt dat bij LH de amygdala niet beschadigd werd door het auto-ongeluk. En dat hij daarom wel de emotie van een gezicht kan lezen.
Happy.
LH is much better at recognizing emotion from the face than he is at recognizing identity. He can recognize happiness and sadness, disgust, the basic emotions. He is not as good as most people are. He isn't as good as you and I are at it, but he is able to differentiate, basic moods and feelings from the face. He clearly is able to recognize emotions, intentions. He knows when someone's interested in him, is looking at him. He's also taken social jobs which require him to understand social cues. He's been a minister and a social worker. And so this suggests that there's a separate circuitry in the brain for social functions, the amygdala in particular and the orbital frontal regions seem to be the core of what we call the social brain.
Bij LH was de voorkant van het brein ook niet beschadigd. Daar zit de zogeheten frontale cortex.
We think that these two brain areas, the amygdala and the orbitofrontal region of the brain, are working together as part of a network in what some people call the social brain. That whilst the amygdala is processing information of quite a low level, like faces, emotions, and what the eyes are doing, the orbitofrontal and other prefrontal areas are using that information in planning, in particular social planning, working out what's the appropriate thing to do in any given situation, working out what somebody else might know, given their past history, and that these two regions are working collaboratively to give the individual a theory of mind.
Sociaal onvermogen is niet alleen een kenmerk voor autisten. Het komt ook veel vaker voor bij mannen dan bij vrouwen. Er lijkt een directe relatie te zijn tussen autisme en de manier waarop een normaal mannenbrein werkt. De sleutel daarvoor is te vinden in een zeldzame genetische aandoening die alleen bij vrouwen voorkomt. Kyle Smith is 10 jaar en heeft Turner-syndroom. Normaal gesproken krijgen meisjes 2 X-chromosomen, 1 van hun moeder en 1 van hun vader. Maar bij Turner-syndroom missen de meisjes 1 X-chromosoom. Het gevolg is dat ze geen eierstokken hebben en vrij klein blijven. Daarnaast ontwikkelen sommige meisjes met Turner-syndroom problemen met sociaal gedrag.
They weren't able to mix with the other children. They felt that they didn't have any friends. They felt very insecure. Even something as simple as setting her place in the morning at a different side of the table. That can disturb her, and it means that she forgets the next thing. It's almost as if she does it in a list. And if you remove one of the orders, then it's almost panic. But it's these little things that distress her quite greatly.
De ouders van Kyle zochten hulp bij de onderzoeker David Skuse. Hij kwam de afgelopen zomer tot een opmerkelijke conclusie.
When we looked at those girls who just had 1 X chromosome, and we divided those into 2 groups, those in whom that single X came from the mother, and those in whom the single X came from the father, overwhelmingly, the social difficulties were among those girls in whom that single X chromosome had its origin in the mother, and that the girls whose single X came from their father had relatively few problems.
Volgens Skuse liggen er bij vrouwen op het X-chromosoom genen die op non-actief zijn gezet. Genen die betrokken zijn bij de ontwikkeling van de frontale hersenen. En dat kan problemen geven als je maar 1 X-chromosoom hebt.
Because we know that the differences in the behavior and cognitions of these 2 groups of girls, depending on the parental origin of their single X chromosome, is essentially social. And we know that individuals with damage or other impairment to the development of their prefrontal cortex, the frontal parts of the brain that are most highly developed in humans, leads to social impairment. Then our suspicion is that these genes are influencing the development of the frontal parts of the brain.
Beautiful. Isn't that gorgeous?
Autisme is een typische mannenafwijking. Het komt zelden bij meisjes voor. Uit het onderzoek van Skuse bleek dat de meisjes met Turner-syndroom die het X-chromosoom van de moeder krijgen 400 maal zo vaak autistisch zijn. Jongens hebben ook maar 1 X-chromosoom en die krijgen ze altijd van hun moeder. Dus lopen jongens net als de meisjes met Turner-syndroom een veel grotere kans om autistisch gedrag te ontwikkelen. De vraag is waarom de natuur een genetisch mechanisme heeft ontwikkeld dat de kans op autisme bij mannen zo groot maakt.
We propose that the inheritance of a switched off copy of this gene gave males an evolutionary advantage. Of course it's highly speculative as to what that advantage must have been, but it must have been pretty important because it was at the expense of a pretty large disadvantage as well, which was the increased male risk of autism and autistic-like disorders.
Simon Baron Cohen heeft wel een vermoeden wat dat voordeel voor mannen is. Zijn vakgroep heeft veel mannen getest die intelligent zijn, maar wel een lichte vorm van autisme hebben. Het blijkt dat autisten veel slechter ogen kunnen lezen dan niet-autisten.
Unconcerned.
Tevens blijkt dat de niet-autistische ouders van autisten het ook slechter doen. En normale mannen doen het weer veel slechter dan vrouwen. Daarentegen doen autisten en normale mannen het veel beter als hun ruimtelijk inzicht wordt getest. Het brein van autisten en normale mannen lijkt voorbestemd om de abstracte fysieke wereld te doorgronden. Het intuïtieve en sociale deel van hun brein is evolutionair onderontwikkeld.
Well, in any population you'd expect 5% of males to be working in a field like engineering. What we found amongst the fathers of children with autism was that about 12% of them were working in that field. So that's more than double. And that was also true for grandfathers on either side of the family. It looks like in the normal case that the male brain preferentially attends to spatial information and into understanding physical systems outside of the social domain. And in contrast, the female brain if you like, is attending more to faces, we see this in female babies, and is showing a greater aptitude on social reasoning tests. In the case of autism, it looks like there is this strong preference for processing information about physical systems, machines, geographical information, train information, these sorts of things, with a relatively less developed skill in processing social information, suggesting that autism genetically might be at an extreme point on this male brain continuum.
This is G6ELH Mobile, George 6 Echo Lima Hotel Mobile, listening AM. Anybody out there?
Is de neiging tot autisme de prijs die het mannelijk brein betaalt voor het vermogen om de fysieke wereld beter te beheersen? Is dat de oorzaak van de aloude clash tussen sociale vrouwen en gevoelloze mannen? Zoals bijvoorbeeld bij Chris Slater.
Catch it from G6ELH Mobile.
He's not very good at gauging when I'm upset. I have learnt that I have to tell him that I'm upset and precisely why. And sometimes he's been surprised. Once he said, I thought you could cope with everything.
Chris is computerexpert en al 6 jaar met Gisela getrouwd. Zijn huwelijk stond op springen, omdat hij nauwelijks enige emotie kende.
I can remember feeling that when we were at school at playtime, a lot of the children seemed to be, or I seemed to be apart from a lot of the other children. I would usually have a couple of friends, but really not many, and my participation in the kind of games that the vast majority of the children would be playing, well, I just didn't. I had a chemistry set which I used to spend, I mean, literally hours, I think, playing with. And at a fairly early age I got interested in electronics as well. In my emotional life at that time was really very limited, I think. And I mean, friends said that, well, Chris, you don't seem to have any emotions, why is this? And I didn't know, but I thought, well, it's just me, you know.
Chris en Gisela bezochten een psycholoog. En Chris bleek inderdaad een zeer milde vorm van autisme te hebben, bekend onder de naam Asperger-syndroom.
Well, I think it's probably made the difference between us staying together and not staying together. I can appreciate Chris's good points a lot more. And I know how to handle the things that sort of really threatened our happiness before. And I think Chris is learning. Chris is responding differently.
If I've seen that she's upset, and it might not be with, not necessarily upset with me or something I've done, then I often found that very, very forbidding and difficult to deal with. But I know now that what she wants is she wants a hug or something like that. And I can go ahead and do that. And that's, you know, that's made an enormous difference, just that simple thing.
Langzaam maar zeker begint men te herkennen dat veel meer mannen een dergelijke milde vorm van autisme hebben. Een vorm van gedrag die leidt tot wederzijds onbegrip tussen mannen en vrouwen. De kloof tussen veel gewone mannen en mannen als Chris is niet groot. Wellicht is er toch een evolutionaire reden waarom mannen zulke sociale sukkels zijn en vrouwen perfecte gedachtenlezers.